Let's now hone in on the hotel arena specifically, and one assumes right at the top that this is a segment that's got to be coming under pressure. So what are occupancy levels telling us about the health of this space?
Occupancy levels have recovered from the 2008 levels, or rather 2010 levels. So a lot of hotels were built for the Soccer World Cup. They were full at the time, then all the tourists left and the occupancy levels fell. They have recovered in the last 2 to 3 years back to the lower 60% range. If you look at the two groups we're looking at tonight, also the percentage of their profits generated by the hotel segment is roughly 20% for Tsogo, but less than 10% for Sun International. So that also shows that you have this decent recovery happening in the hotel sector. You see that with City Lodge, for instance, and Tsogo Sun is capturing more of that than Sun International. Also, Sun International's hotels are at their resorts, which we mentioned, Sun International, Boardwalk, the Wild Coast Sun, which are a bit further away. So those occupancy levels would be even lower, unfortunately.
I guess it's also a lot more competitive within that space, looking at the number of players that do play in the hotel catering arena.
Yes, but I think South Africa has a great tourism story to sell. It's a bit far from the really rich developed markets like Germany, the UK, the US and so on. But people do come here, and when they come here, they're keen for that sort of 5-star experience, and these big groups do offer that. So the Southern Sun operation is substantial, the Intercontinental and all of those brands. They own Formula One. They've got, offerings which are more oriented towards local business people. So I must say, I like that. I like that because, as I said, I think that's something that you can say is, making a positive social contribution. We'd like to see tourism, and the minister would too, being a much bigger part of our economy. We've just got to work out how to get the airline working and the inbound tourists coming and all that sort of thing. But I'm very encouraged by Togo's recent move, for example, to spend all that loot on upgrading the Maharani and the Elangeni in Durban, to make a more compelling offering in that Durban beachfront of it. That's great.
Of course, where you've got tourism in focus, you've also got those looking to do business in South Africa, in Africa at large, and you've got to focus on that target market as well. John.
Yes, the business market is very important for these players. Unfortunately, also you have two factors here where, because of the increased penetration of broadband, people are using video conferencing to a larger extent. So you don't necessarily have that many business people flying in for meetings, for instance, when they could use technology and use video conferencing. So that's a bit of an issue if you look at the longer term trends for business travel specifically, that it could put pressure on hotel occupancies and therefore a bigger reliance on the more leisure side, which is only really your weekends and your public holidays. So it could mean that occupancy levels could maybe not go back to levels of the high 70%, because you'll never fill the hotel to the same extent during the week from your business traveller, because he isn't travelling to the same extent, while your weekends will be full from the leisure traveller.
How are you rating pricing power?
It is quite good. So if you have a hotel, chances are, except in Sandton, as we all know, we are surrounded by hotels. But normally hotels have got quite good pricing power. You have your rates per room, and then obviously have a number of rooms, and if you combine that, you get revenue per available room, or RevPAR, as the hotel operators use them. And if you look at those trends, it shows that they do have pricing power, because it has trended upwards in the last few years. So a hotel is normally not near another hotel, or at least if there are a lot of hotels, it means there is also big demand in that area, and that gives them pricing power. So high fixed cost base, but also pricing power on the revenue line.
So let's reflect back now and look at these two segments, gaming and hotels. If we're looking at Tsogo Sun and Sun International, who's coming up as hot, who's coming up not?
Look, Tsogo is definitely on the move. I mean, they've got these two anchor shareholders, both of whom put a lot of work into getting the group to look like that. It's now larger, so it's starting to attract capital, and I think its rating will benefit. It's clearly starting to move. You can see, every couple of weeks there's an announcement about this investment and that investment. Sun International has been a bit backward in that way, although to be fair, they also were doing, upgrading and development projects. What I like about them, though, is the new CEO, Graham Stevens, who's a banker by background, Standard Bank mergers and acquisitions type of a guy. Then he worked for Butch Kersner and Sol Kersner globally, but he's really more a resorts and hotel developer kind of guy. So you will have seen their announcements about a possible joint venture in Panama with Trump. I think Graham, who's a very talented guy, potentially could swing them more towards that sort of upper end resort destination model, which I must say, as I said, I like because I'm a little bit negative about the gambling thing.
Yeah, consensus on your side?
I think because of these historical elements that speaks to why geographically their operations, both casinos and hotels, are where they are. I prefer Tsogo Sun with its reliance on the Gauteng market, the strongest market, while Sun International with their resorts across the country. Sun City, great resort, love to go there and splash in the waves, but at the end of the day, it doesn't give you a return on capital that exceeds the cost of capital.
And
so
of
I would
course,
prefer
it's
Tsogo.
when you can afford to.
Yes.